Hey, Chris. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
When the?
When the? When?
When the hell are the Yankees going to sign Judge already? Hear the music.
If I could only find the music, I'm somehow. You're gonna have to. Oh wait, hold on. Excuse me for being a techno idiot. All right, I'm sorry. I couldn't find it. I just couldn't. Anyway, so that good morning. Welcome to the upper deck for Pinstripe Chronicles. I'm Chris. That's Lynn, and we are here to bring you up to date with fan views and news about the Yankees and anything else we can think of regarding baseball this week. Lynn, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm looking forward to what's starting today and what's going to come out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And the winter meetings are starting today, and it's with a great deal of hope that Yankee fans think about the winter meetings. Judge, I think Judge is going to come out of this signing by the end of the winter meetings. What do you think?
I absolutely agree with you, and so does Anthony Castrovinci on MLB.com. Said exactly the same thing. And there might now be even more of an incentive to do that if Hal is smart and takes the blueprint that Jacob DeGrom's deal set out, where essentially Cohen, the rug was swept out right under him, and he was informed that DeGrom was going to the Rangers.
Right.
And so they can't rule out the same thing isn't going to happen. So they better be on guard. And either way, hopefully that has them worried enough to seal it.
Right, seal the deal. And we're hearing, I know you were telling me ahead of the show that 9 years is now what people are thinking is going to be the offer, maybe the final offer, so to speak, to Judge, and that will maybe swing him one way or the other. Whoever offers him, I mean, I think we've always said whoever gives him that final year is going to win the lottery.
Right. And in fact, Chris, you had mentioned a tweet from Michigan Yankees from Brian Hoke, who said that Steinbrenner has assured Judge that the Yankees have enough money in the budget to satisfy both his contract and still do more this winter. Mm-hmm. So, to me, that's money and years both being met. But here's the question. If it comes, what's worth more to Judge? And I'm not going to do the usual legacy thing. What's worth more to Judge? Having that extra year or having dollars that essentially balances out not getting the 1 year that the Giants are most likely to offer?
Right. And that is a good question. Judge, which only Judge can answer, and he will. And we hope that's going to be soon, because also the idea that Steinbrenner is going to do more, excuse me, I don't think he's going to do more until Judge is locked up. So that has to be decided and resolved before anything else is going to happen.
So welcome to Li Yankee King.
Hello.
Who says that, and hi to Lori, who also joined us. Thanks for being here. So Yankee King says that he would go 10 years, 400 million.
Yeah.
Where what we're saying is, what we're hearing is, we'd be lucky that it's 9 years, and 300 million is the latest figure.
Right.
Instead of the 337 we've been hearing prior. And yeah, can we stop with Yoshida? Dude is a DH. Yeah, that's interesting, because Chris and I were talking before the show about, that he's one of the could be one of the considerations for the outfield. But, when you have Benintendi, when you have Bellinger, and there's plenty of proven options out there. I would tend to agree with you. What about you, Chris? About you?
Yeah, I say write the check. I almost want to curse again. It's like, write the check, Hal, and let's get this wrapped up and move on. And then maybe we can like get a starting pitcher. We can resolve that, because I know we are being teased with the concept that the Yankees are talking and interested, maybe not talking, interested in both Verlander and Rodon. And believe me, Yankee fans are interested in either one. I think more people want Rodon actually than Verlander at this point. What are your thoughts?
Well, the other thing that Castro Vinci said is that looks like Orioles have big eyeballs on Rodon, um, and that they're ready to announce its presence in the marketplace. So we'll see. I guess they're going to come in pounding their breasts and their little Oriole breasts, and make themselves up. Let it be known they're a big baller in this process.
Yeah.
We know that they need more stable starting pitching. It's remarkable that they made the comeback that they did without it. So I think that's it's putting us at risk for Rodon. And in terms of Verlander, who's the other name that we've been hearing about, so check this out. Verlander and his supermodel wife sold their Beverly Hills home and moved to Florida, Jupiter, Florida. So that is a big skywriting message that that he's talking serious. He has some serious East Coast irons in the fire, and the rumor is it's the Mets.
Yeah, wouldn't that be interesting? I would like to see that, because he would be reunited with Scherzer. But back to the Yankees for a minute. What is Plan B if Judge is not going to sign with the Yankees? If Judge does not come back, what is Plan B? I know that yesterday the Pirates indicated that Brian Reynolds has asked for a trade, and suddenly fans on Twitter were going, "Oh, Reynolds crazy."
Oh, and speaking of, Lori in the comments said that she would prefer Reynolds over Benintendi.
I agree with that. Yes.
Okay, interesting. Yes. I love my Benny in the Jets. I want him to be Benny in the Mets. And then I just want to get to some more of these. So FG says 40 per year is okay, but 10 years is too much for a 31-year-old. I entirely agree. In fact, I'm shocked that 9 years is being taken seriously.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think 10 years, and I don't know that the Giants would even go that. They'd probably throw more money in the pot before they would do that.
Yeah.
And do you know what Yankee King wants for Christmas? He
wants
Rodon and Judge by Wednesday.
Me too. Thank you.
I don't know, Yankee King. Have you been a very good boy?
Hey, run, don't walk, man. Bring us Judge and Rodon, man.
Yeah, and for Verlander, he's saying I absolutely pass on Verlander. I'm with you. Up in years, injury history, he still has stuff left in him. There's no doubt about it.
I was just going to play devil's advocate on that.
Really good stuff, so it's balancing out, and you don't have a crystal ball with him.
Right.
All you could do is do a little look back, but he's still, top of the heap. So
Verlander came back very strong off the injury and had him, what a year. I say, if it's a rental, go get him. Let's win a World Series.
And I'm showing Lori's made me laugh here. Say no to Mr. Upton. Yeah. Jay Verlander's wife might be wearing wearing the reins there on that relationship. I guess we'll find out. Maybe they're moving there for her career. Who knows?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
I want to bring up the possibility that there's also a starting pitching plan B. I mean, it's really just fans who are assuming we need a starting pitcher. I mean, and that we need one at the top of the rotation. Whereas I think we're going to probably end up with someone. I mean, I would be happy to have Tyone back, frankly. That would not bum me out. Sign Tyone as the number 5. I mean, that would not be. But I much prefer to go the other route. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I would be fine with Tyone staying. But as the bottom of the rotation guy.
Right.
And I feel good about Herman. So if he goes, I think that we'll be fine. And as Lori said in the chat, and it's absolutely correct, our pitching wasn't the reason we lost.
No.
No. And we've had this discussion several times on the show. It'll be interesting to see if our bats improve with the shift being gone. I think with some, we had discussed that with some guys, absolutely, it'll make a big benefit. Exactly. But there'll be others that still it'll be a mechanical adjustment.
Right.
That will take a while to be there.
Yeah. I mean, and Rizzo's one that's going to benefit from the shift being gone. And I mean, we could see his average going up. And I mean, his power numbers were just outstanding this year, too. Hopefully, I mean, next year, if he had the average and power, that would be interesting to see if that's how it worked out.
Yeah. Well, Yankee King likes to think outside the box.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
You can get creative, something Cashman can't do. Agreed. And trade Stanton to San Diego and DH Judge Moore and have a club option for the 10th year that turns into a 2-year, $20 million deferred contract.
Right. That makes too much sense to happen.
That is some smart thinking. I'd recommend you apply to the front office and have them bring you on board, but they wouldn't listen to you. But that's absolutely reasonable, smart thinking.
Oh, absolutely. And on the reliever front, Castro, Miguel, we lost out on Miguel Castro this week. He went to the Diamondbacks. So I don't know what the Yankees have in mind, who they're targeting, or even might be thinking about in terms of relief pitching. Any thoughts on that?
My biggest thought is we need it.
Right.
Now, if we want to talk about pitching not being the reason we lost, absolutely agreed that the bats were, already in hibernation before the season was over. But we also didn't have the depth at the end of the season than we did at the beginning. How will King come back looking? Britton's gone. What's up with Greeny?
Right.
So those reliables,
right.
What do we have left? We have Peralta.
Yeah.
Peralta's not a closer.
Right. And I mean, Clay Holmes, that's the thing. Which Clay Holmes do we get? First half Clay Holmes or second half Clay Holmes? He did rebound a bit, but
he did, but not what we were used to seeing.
Exactly.
I guess it depends on what he's trying to retool during the off season. So yeah, the bullpen is a big question mark and concern. I'd be interested to hear for those listening and those commenting, who you think the Yankees should be going after for relievers.
Yeah.
I think it's relievers more than starters. But
I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get a starter of note. and we end up with another reclamation project, or like a second tier guy. I don't know. We'll see. It just, I think I'm kind of burned because from past years, I've been disappointed with the Yankees off seasons. And if they don't re-sign Judge, this off season is going to be another big ass disappointment.
I don't know who they could do in place of him to make me want to buy a chicken bucket and go to the stadium.
Yeah.
I agree, FG. I don't think Stanton would ever accept a trade, and I don't think, as creative as you were, Yankee King, I don't think it's even a thought in the Yankees' minds. So I would agree with that. And
however, I would agree that it would be great if that happened.
Well, my heart belongs to Stanton, but
all right,
if it makes, and so that should be a big consideration,
right,
at the table. You don't want to break Lynn's heart. I'm sure that'll be first and foremost in minds.
Yeah, sometimes Lynn and I disagree.
Definitely, and that's fine.
Yeah,
that's what makes us a good pair. Lori is saying that the offense was sucky because of how old the offense is. Yes and no. I mean, we have Cabrera. We could have had Peraza more active. Benintendi, except for his injuries. Bader. I think we have, some power hitters in foreign training to be the next gen. But no doubt, we have some young guys that aren't producing the way you would expect them to.
Yeah,
but
I agree, Lori, with you on that. Because look at Donaldson, for example. I mean, you hate to make DJ an example of someone who's ready for the retirement home, but unfortunately, that's how the season ended for him. But the offense sucked also, in my opinion, because Aaron Boone doesn't know why they win when they win. I don't believe there is a plan. There is no offensive philosophy that he imparts to his players that you can see playing out in the course of the game. It seems to me that, the big upswing when they're winning is just like they're being swept by a wave. And then when they're down, the downswing losing, Boone, all of his manipulations of the roster were not able to correct the balance or, balance the ship again.
Right. And so I would agree with Yankee King in the comments that I'm fine with the starting rotation. And FG just popped up a moment ago to say, what about Ross Stripling?
Yeah, right. I don't know a lot about him, but Toronto, right? I mean, I'm guessing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell me, is he? Yeah, we should.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to look more into him.
Yeah, we'll definitely look more into him.
Yeah, and then I'll give Hal a call and see how it goes.
And as far as what is plan B for the outfield, should Judge not be back in it? I mean, obviously they're going to dismantle the Judge's chambers quick I'm sure it's already dismantled. But I know you had some tweets from Yankee Slut over there about maybe some, or was it Eric and Erica exchange maybe?
Yeah, the exchange was more about how the trade would go down, right. And I seem to have lost it.
Well, in the meantime, I'll say that Yankee fans now want to trade for Brian Reynolds, which we brought up earlier. But I like him better than Benintendi, and I don't know if that's just because I really never accepted Benintendi because he's a Red Sox to me. But I get used to him. I don't dislike him. I'm just being really ridiculous, actually.
No. Look,
It happens. I'm a
it's a
fan. I'm not a
conversation.
reporter.
We're just fans shooting the breeze.
Exactly.
And we can talk about ridiculous things like, I want Stanton signed to a 20-year contract just because I heart him. So going back to that tweet, it was between Yankee Slut and Eric Medic and John Harvey, our friend John Harvey.
Our John.
Yeah, so she's saying that believe what you want, but she thinks New York Yankees go 10 years if they have to. So
Okay.
there's some agreement with our friends in the chat.
Yeah.
And when Hal said he wouldn't be outbid for Judge, he would have had to have been completely bluffing if he gets outbid by 9 years. So she's saying it's going to become about 10, upping the ante to 10, not from 8 to 9.
Yeah.
So that was essentially the debate there, more just going back and forth about Judge. If the 9th year is a deal breaker, I think Hal bends. That was from at Tuck Stands. So everyone seems to be mostly in consensus that it could go to 10 years.
Right. And if it doesn't, then there's Nimmo, Conforto, I can't remember who's the Japanese player you mentioned?
Yoshida.
I'm sorry, I couldn't remember that name. Also Bellinger. Brian Nimmo would be great if they do not. If they're not able to re-sign Judge. Yes.
And we also have to remember that Cabrera, although mostly in left field, has proven himself to be a great utility guy.
Yeah.
And so I don't want Cabrera lost in the shuffle in any of these things where, that's being talked about either. It'll be interesting, though. I know that there was some conversation, whether it was on last week's show or the one before it, about Peraza and Volpe. And will they be part of a trading deal? And so that was surprising to me. Did you hear that, Chris?
Yeah, actually, I mean, people were suggesting one or the other, or even Dominguez for Reynolds. And I mean, Dominguez is, the Martian. Can we see what he has first? He's, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then I saw someone suggesting Chris Bryant because he can also play third base. I thought that was an interesting throw out for perhaps a plan B player. I love Bryant. I always have. He's easy on the eyes for one thing. And he's got this smile that he's just, and also he's like best friends with Rizzo. So it would be an interesting combination to have him as a Yankee.
Yeah. And they don't feel they have enough. King doesn't feel like there's enough prospects to get Reynolds.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah.
And the solution for left field is Florial.
Yeah.
Like, where in the world is Estevan Florial?
Right.
And, so why haven't we seen him? Yeah. I think that's a really good point.
It's a good point because Florial comes up, disappears. He never gets the shot that you think he might get. But, he's one of those Yankee prospects that's sort of stuck in the system.
And Chris, I know you wanted to talk about Castro. I was very surprised by that deal with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, it was surprising, but he got a good deal. But the Yankees obviously could have made that deal, but that's why we said there must be someone out there that they have their eyes on, or that Cashman is targeting. He's a stealth bomber. We'll never know until he strikes.
He's a stealth bomber who sometimes not sometimes, often bombs.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I had a question for our friends in the chat, and I'm going to come back to it because I just forgot it for the moment.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to mention Nestor is going to be pitching for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. That is going to be fun to watch.
Yes, that is going to be really fun to watch. And so by the way, speaking of Nestor, are we thinking about, should we be thinking about him in the two spot in the rotation?
Definitely.
What do you guys think in the chat about that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, well, he and Severino can battle it out.
Right.
Maybe even battle it out in the World Baseball Classic. Now that would be a matchup.
Yeah, most definitely.
That would be like a dream, and it'd be so interesting to see them go head to head.
Actually, I think that'd be a great derby during the All-Stars.
Oh yeah,
have a strike fest.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so really no comments about Nestor. I think Yankee King is saying no in regard to my question about Nestor. I think Nestor gets under evaluated, but he did struggle towards the end, and I understand that. But I also understand that Sevy also should be a big consideration there.
Right. So, well, we'll see what kind of year Nestor puts together. I mean, some back-to-back years like he had this year would certainly do him well, put him in the books, in the good books, so to speak. But yeah, I can't say enough good things about Nestor. He's my favorite. Yep. I mean, I love Cole, of course. That's not even a question. But I mean, as far as fun and interesting, give me Nestor every day.
All day long, 365, 24 hours. And Chris, I know you wanted to talk about Don Mattingly before.
I wanted to mention that. I mean, I think I'm personally shocked that, I mean, now first Reggie goes to the Astros, right?
Yeah.
And he's like a special advisor there. Now we've got Mattingly in the Toronto dugout. That's just unimaginable.
Why do you think he made that decision?
I think he's not done. He's not done being on the field. I mean, he had the opportunity to join the Yes broadcast, apparently, and turned that down. And there may be many considerations, but I'm hoping that the best case scenario is that he simply wants to be still coaching, teaching, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think part of that has to do with what has to be a very bad taste in his mouth after the Marlins.
Yeah, that probably is right. But I hope it's not a bad taste in the mouth about the Yankees. I mean, I hope that it's not like well, it's probably not. I'm sure Mattingly is, whatever Mattingly problems he had with the Yankees have been long resolved. So.
Right. And regardless, with the Blue Jays being one of our hot rivalries, or team that we worry about every series we have with them, having Mattingly on the bench doesn't make me feel very good either.
No.
Because you want him on that bench, you need him on that bench,
right.
And so that's going to be interesting to see how if any way the Jays benefit from him.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're almost to the end of the show, and I don't want to not leave enough time for our trivia question that comes to us every week. Lynn?
Yes, so our resident librarian, our friend Spencer, his handle is Musix, MUZIXNDMD. If you're not following him, just type in Spencer S and he'll pop up. I'm sure. He's a great follow and a really good Yankee buddy of ours. And so here's his question of the week. And Spencer's questions always start with a prelude. So just for context, because it's interesting, I'm going to share it. And it's a great segue from what you were just talking about, Chris. As Don Mattingly joins the Blue Jays as their new bench coach and awaits to see if he'll be inducted to the Hall of Fame, in 1985, and the New York Yankees battled the Jays for the division title, which would be decided until their showdown in Toronto, the final series of that season. Mattingly had earned the 1985 MVP in that season, and he played in 159 games. In spite of his offensive explosion, he did not lead the New York Yankees in runs. Which Yankee led the team in runs scored in 1985?
Fine.
So the bottom line question of the week is, which Yankee led the team in
All
runs
right.
scored in 1985?
All right. Gotcha.
And
What?
so, to our friends in the chat, feel free to put your answers right there. But before I hand it back over to Chris, I want to thank everyone in the chat today
Thank you.
for contributing to the conversation so much. And oh, Brad, didn't see you come in. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And your comments there. Sorry, I missed them. I had another screen up. But Brad, always so happy to see you. Good. Lori registered a guess. And if you don't follow me on Twitter or Chris on Twitter, or the Upper Deck on Twitter, Upper Deck is at Hit the Upper Deck. That's where every week we post the answer to the question of the week. Chris, your handle is at Yankees Gab and mine is at Yankee. Oh no, at Pinstripes 2823. Chris.
Excellent. And before we go, I forgot to mention this, but I don't want to forget to mention this. I'm reading this great book. Let me get it in the screen. It's Howard Bryant's new book on Rickey Henderson. I highly recommend this. I love picking up anything new about the Yankees. Obviously, Henderson, with a number of teams, a couple of different teams at least, where he had Hall of Fame careers. But anyway, Howard Bryant's book on Rickey Henderson is a keeper. Want to thank you for joining us today and spending part of your Sunday morning with us. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, come back next week, talk to us on Twitter during the week. That's what we do. So thank you very much.
And as always, every week at 11 a.m., you'll always have a reserved seat with Chris and me right here on the Upper Deck. Go Winter Meetings!
Go Winter Meetings! Bring Judge!